live on Twitter the other night.
Yeah,
okay, that's what's up. Okay, HOK.
Debate Coliseum. Send the link. Put that link that I sent you.
Okay. Oh, no, that's the StreamYard link.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. I don't want anybody jumping in on that piece.
Right.
Let me share this out as well on Twitter. Share this out as well and on Facebook.
All right, here's the link right here for the channel. I'm putting it in the search right now. There you go, right there. I just dropped it in.
All right.
That's the link. Copy and paste that.
Yo, if you see somebody in the back channel, Ibrahim, that's my bro right there.
All right. All right. Peace and blessings, everybody on Sonetta Studios. I want y'all to come on over, hit this link right here that you see. Come on over to the Debate Coliseum. This is where we're going to be at. I'm gonna exit out of the Sonetta Studios. Abraham is in the building. This is not a debate, y'all, but it's just more of a conversation, a discussion, so to speak. So just to let y'all know that we're going to have more, get into that. Hit the link. This is not a debate. Everybody that's over there on Sonetta Studios, come right across the street. Hit the link that I got in the chat and come on over to the Debate Coliseum. This is where we at right now. This is where we at. Let me, as we getting the people in here, let me set this thing off, right? I gotta get I'm gonna make a new video for this. Or Lord Abbott, he spits, so we can get Lord Abbott to make us a new joint.
When two cultures collide.
But I don't think nobody could top this though. This song here.
I ain't going, that joint is hard right there.
Yeah.
When two cultures collide, which one will stand to liberate the black community? First of all, I need to acknowledge why this debate is necessary.
Black News 102. Whose words will survive when we purge the lies? That curse the divine, cast the pearls to swine. Reverse the design, even merge divide. Side net TV when two worlds collide. Might hurt to decide just who verbs will vibe. When we curve all the jive, whether girls or guys. No herbs left alive in this earthly skies. Side net TV when two worlds collide. Clash of the titans, facts will enlighten. Some spitting mad, but they ain't half as exciting. This platform we battle for the souls of man. Those kidnapped and trapped upon stolen land. Doesn't matter where you at on this earth. Africa's the true origin of your birth. Teaching you true health and wealth. Knowledge of self-worth instead of killing your health, going to jail over turf. We all truth seekers asking questions. Should we seek them in the shrine lodge or the lessons? Is the answer ancestral science or religion? Is it freedom or Willie Lynch a little different? Is it Indian, Aboriginal, indigenous people? Should we worship money? Is it still a root of all evil? We all born with mental shackles if we black. And the only thing that's gonna free us is the actual facts. Whose words will survive when we purge the lies? That curse the divine, cast the pearls to swine. Reverse the design, even merge divide. Side net TV when two worlds collide. Might hurt to decide just who verbs will vibe. When we curve all the jive, whether girls or guys. No herbs left alive in this earthly skies. Side net TV when two worlds collide. Is it the gods and earths or the Moors? Should we master UCC and commercial law? Is it being Muslim, Christians, or the Jews? Should we push the old school and need something new? Is it atheism, Egyptologists, Hebrew Israelites, flat earthers, herbalists? To get our people right, I'm in Rod Squad, RBG, or New Covenant. Should we work for or should we overthrow the government? Should we all go for self, being savages and vultures? Pan-African or is hip-hop our culture? Is it nationality or correct status? Should we integrate Me Too or Black Lives Matter? Should we hit the streets with the Panthers? Unify the gangs, is all out war the right answer? Are we Asiatic or Arabian? Should we just free Dr. York and be Nawapi and a Sabian? Whose words will survive when we purge the lies? That curse the divine, cast the pearls to swine. Reverse the design, even merge divide. Side net TV when two worlds collide. Might hurt to decide just who verbs will vibe. When we curve all the jive, whether girls or guys. No herbs left alive in this earthly skies. Side net TV when two worlds collide.
Right, there we have it. We got that out the way. Now let's talk about it, man. Who want to start this conversation off? Let's go. Anybody?
Oh man, it don't matter, man. I'll
Okay,
set it up.
so let me ask you, brother Lord Abbott.
Mhm.
In terms of dealing with this debate that Biden and Trump had, who would you say had the upper hand? And same question for Domo, and why?
Well, clearly Trump had the upper hand. Obviously, he came through more coherent, more concise. I mean, even if you are a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, you did not like the debate performance by Biden. He was stuttering. His cognitive decline was clearly on display at several moments. He was just leaning over like this. I swear I thought he was just going to kill over and die. I'm like, is he dying? I'm just sitting there like, and yeah, Trump had the upper hand. And there was one thing Trump said during the debate. And he was like, this was a waste of time. So I guess Biden called for the debate, if my memory serves me correctly, and everybody called for the debate because they wanted to see Biden go up against Trump. And Trump, he knows how to debate, man. He knows how to entertain. And that's one of the things I learned on the House of Consciousness. You can't just have the facts, right? Everybody say I lost that debate to Ali Muhammad, but if you compared our information, I destroyed him in information, but he was entertaining. And that's what won the crowd. And in everybody else's eyes, I lost that debate, right? But once everybody came back 2-3 days, I actually compared what you were saying and researched it, and you did your thing. But I was like, hey, that brother is more entertaining, and that's what it is with Trump, man. And in this case, he didn't even have to entertain. He just let Biden do all the talking. Let him talk, and everybody's going to see that this guy is not the person that could be running the country.
All right, brother Domo. Who do you think held it down and why?
Yeah, I mean, it's no doubt that Donald Trump won that debate. But the reason why I would have to articulate a bit differently. Now, I definitely agree with Lord Abba's characterization of Joe Biden. Like, because I'm gonna be honest, I couldn't watch the whole thing. Like, I came in at the time where they were talking about the whole. Well, they started when they asked Donald Trump about January 6th and his responsibility. And then he went on his tangent, like didn't answer the question. You know what I'm saying? Like he gave like a long, incoherent response. You know what I mean? But it was his talking points. You know what I mean? And then when it was Joe Biden's opportunity to respond to something that was clearly just talking points, it sounded like he just sounded old. Like there was no energy behind what he was saying. It sounded like he was talking under his breath. There was moments where he was trying to get, you know what I'm saying, like trying to figure out what he wanted to say, or figure out how he wanted to jump on it. And it was just like I'm expecting this from Donald Trump. The question was more so is how much is Biden on top of it. And then it kind of showed me that like that type of moment, where you got to be quick thinking and engaging. He did not have it, like not even close. It was hard to listen to.
So where do you Domo? Where do you think Trump got him at? Give me one, not everything. Just give me one for now. What part of the debate do you think Trump got him?
So I don't necessarily think he got him on a particular point. I think he got him on the purpose of what they was there for. Like, so I try to explain to people that when you have these types of events, like whether it's the State of the Union or whether it's a debate, those are moments for political propaganda. So the question is, who does a better job of selling what they selling? And I think Donald Trump did a much better job selling this, the same things that he's been selling, the conversation, standing behind the January 6th defendants and kind of pointing out that, hey, America was still better, even what was happening under January 6th. Do I necessarily agree with that? No, but Joe Biden didn't have a coherent rebuttal. So I would literally say like everything, You know what I mean? Like what I give Trump, you know, even though a lot of what he said was a lie, it was coherent. You could hear, you could understand it, and he was firm about it. There was an energy behind it. There was a fervor behind it. And what Joe Biden was trying to, I don't know what Joe Biden was trying to push. I'm being honest. Like I don't know what like he was trying to stand on. I don't fully understand how he wanted to respond. It just seemed like it was just an elderly dude. Like they just pulled somebody out of a nursing home and just threw him up on the stage and was like, okay, have this debate. You feel me? So I feel like overall he got him on presence. Donald Trump beat him on presence. You feel me? Like he accomplished what he wanted to accomplish for his people, and Joe Biden completely failed the people that was rooting for him.
All right, family. I dropped the link one more time before I exit out. I'm gonna cut this off on the Sarnetta Studios. Here's the link where you can watch this in real time. We are over here on the HOK Debate Coliseum. I'm going to drop the link and then I'm going to cut this off on the Sarnetta Studios. Hit that link. Come on over here and show the love. We building this channel up, family. All right, let me cut this Sarnetta Studio off. Yeah, let me cut this off so we can continue to go in. Lord Abba, same question. Where do you think Trump got him? Just give me one instance. Unmute yourself.
My bad. Illegal immigration. I mean, he really drilled him on immigration, and he told him he did what he did with the border, and he kept saying y'all should have just left it alone. And he made it personal, right? He said to Biden, you should have just left it alone, basically saying that we fixed it or it was on its way to being fixed. And when you look at where our interests, right, as quote unquote Black people intersect with the rest of the country, at least with what I'm seeing, if I can use social media as a sample size, and not even just social media, man, because if you look at what's going on in Chicago, if you look at what's going on in New York, and you hear the sentiment of our people speaking about how this immigration issue is a problem and they're dumping them off in our neighborhoods, then, I mean, he killed them on that point. And one more point he killed them on, I thought, was talking about sending the money overseas to the war. He said every time Zelensky comes to the country, he leaves with $60 billion. He's like, I don't blame him. He's a good salesperson, obviously. You see what I'm saying? It's like we're fighting.
Hey, hold on, that. But that point right there shows you that Trump is a straight up businessman.
That's a fact.
He said, yo, listen, man, they coming over here paying us billions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? But I think Trump caught him on a few points. I'm gonna just give you one. Mm-hmm. I like the thing you're talking about, the immigrants. Mm-hmm. How he opened up the border, how he opened it up, where Trump closed all that stuff up, and he killed him when he was saying things like, yeah, you know, you opened up the border. Now they coming over here, killing our people, killing the Americans. You know,
but I do think that's a question of being. I think that's a question of Joe Biden's ability to rebuttal, because what Donald Trump enforced with the border, Joe Biden didn't remove. The actual what Donald Trump enforced expired. You see what I'm saying? So like when Joe Biden came in office, even though he campaigned on getting rid of this that Trump did and getting rid of this that Trump did, he didn't do it. Even right now, when it comes to the detention centers that Democrats was complaining about under Joe Biden or under Donald Trump, they allowed it under Joe Biden. You see what I'm saying? And even being able to speak to, like, having the ability to speak to the most recent executive order that does close down the border, having the ability to speak to the bipartisan immigration bill that Donald Trump told them not to pass because he didn't want them to pass it under Joe Biden, having the ability to use, like, come up with those rebuttals in the moment. He just didn't have it. He wasn't equipped. So he had the responses, but it was like he didn't have the ability in that moment to deploy, you know what I'm saying, the proper responses to be able to be able to rebut that. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I thought that when I believe that Trump botched the COVID response. And I believe that that's the reason that Trump lost that election, to be honest with you. If I, from my political viewpoint, had to give a reason why I believe Trump lost, like I could give some reasons, right? But if you think about it and you look at the numbers insofar as total votes, even though he lost, he still had the second highest votes, popular vote count, obviously after Joe Biden. But his second popular vote count was still higher than the last few opponents that actually won the presidency. So I believe that it was his response to COVID, and I thought when Biden brought that up, I thought Trump was effective in hitting back about the travel ban from China, and then he kind of switched it to his son's business with Ukraine, et cetera, et cetera. So I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's some things that we could look at and say that Trump really hit Biden on. I didn't really feel that Biden hit back too tough. He got
on anything.
Well, he got him. He did. I thought he got him with the January 6th comment and the fact that he was a convicted felon. But if you looked at Trump's face, Trump was just kind of nodding like, "Yeah, I expect."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that's the January 6th is the low hanging fruit. You feel me? Like January 6th is low hanging fruit. Him being a convicted felon is low hanging fruit. You feel me? So it's like at this point, even mentioning it ain't enough. Like you have to convincingly respond in a way because again, I think these debates are more about charisma and propaganda than they are about like actual substantive conversation. So that means that you got to show that I can match wits. Like I'm showing you, I can keep up with you. Joe Biden did not keep up with Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like Trump lapped him a couple times because he was able to just give more. And I think what made it even more obvious was like the way that Democrats was like panicking after the debate. Like now they're attempting to have a serious conversation about whether or not they should try to find a new candidate 5-6 months before an election. Well, which would be a death sentence within itself.
And it really extends before that, right? If you think about it, and this goes back to Obama, and I was breaking this down last night on Twitter, in the Twitter space. If you think about it, Obama left, 92 judicial seats open under the pretense that Hillary Clinton was going to come in and be the president, fill them seats, get her political weight. I'm like, I'm going to leave these for Hillary, right? We're going to carry on this new Obama era Democratic thing. But Trump came in and derailed those plans. And then he put his people in. So, people, even when in the debate that me and you had last week, you was bringing up Trump's appointments. But if you really, really break that thing down and look at it, it's Obama's fault. And
it's also the fault of Senate Democrats during that time. As what I pointed out was 1 in every 7 federal judges is a Trump appointee. During that time, back in like 2019, before the election, when they were actually doing they were still doing more of their confirmations. Chuck Schumer, Senate leader at the time, literally expedited 20 Trump judges. That means that they didn't even have to go through a hearing. They didn't have to go through a review or nothing. This is a Democrat that's like, okay, yeah, they'll complain about Trump judges now. But when you had the ability to be like, nah, I don't care if it's an election or not, let's actually hold these judges' feet to the fire. You actually allow for a plethora of Trump judges to be installed without a confirmation because you wanted to go back to your district and campaign. You feel me? So I'll go as far as to say that the Senate Democrats today are just as responsible for the amount of judges that Trump has than anybody else. I would say even more than Obama, really.
Oh, yeah, guys, Sal.
Yeah, talk to me about the point. Who won the point? The topic when they got into the abortion. Because some people, you know, my sister immediately called me and told me Trump is a liar. He been lying for so long. That's what my sister called to tell me. And I'm telling her, I'm like, yo, so me and her debating on the phone, going at it. But she's like, yo, you gonna look stupid. You gonna look stupid, Saw. I'm telling you, everything Trump said, a lot of the stuff he said, he lied. He lied about it. So what do you think about that, Lord Abba?
I can't recall fully the debate discussion, right? But what I'll say is this. Number one, I'm against abortion. And our people, the American freedmen, we should be against abortion too. For every one of our children that were born, one was aborted, which created a 50% halt in our population growth from 1973 up until now. To give you a visual, right, and to jog people's memory, you remember when Tazariak killed Polite with that point on during their debate where he was, you know, as the black woman God, and he pulled up, you talk about God killed this many people, and then he pulled up that graphic that showed how many abortions black women had in this country since 1973, right? That, you know, that was a good debate point, but it's horrible when you look at the fact that we are facing a genocide. The second thing I want to add to that is when you look at Roe versus Wade and what they utilized to justify Roe versus Wade, which was the privacy clause of the 14th Amendment, that was unconstitutional.
Yo, you hear me?
Hey, hold on for 1 minute. Hey, John, Jay, I want you to know you live. You want to say something about the debate?
Yes.
Go ahead, say something.
I don't
hold on for 1 minute, Lord Adam. Oh, you don't hear him?
No, I hear him. I don't see him.
No, he on the phone.
He on the phone. I think he on the phone.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay. Go ahead, Jay.
Can you?
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. First of all, everything that Trump, hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you got to turn down the system in the back.
YouTube,
yeah, on YouTube.
Hold
you got
on,
to mute that.
Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you better. Go ahead. Go.
Everything that Trump just said with that debate, everything was a lie. Yeah, he had the option when it came down to like people storming the Capitol. Think about it. He didn't do nothing for 3 hours. Why didn't he do anything for 3 hours to protect the Capitol? He's the chief that runs the whole entire country. He has his second man in charge. He did not send anyone in there to save his second person in charge, which was Pence.
Okay, so you saying that he's a liar. What else did he lie about?
Abortion.
Hold on one second.
Oh, he lied about abortion?
Yeah, they keep there's this talking point that liberals want abortion up until
about the immigrants. The Congress passed a bipartisan, what you call a bipartisan bill that the Republicans and Democrats both agreed upon. Trump told them do not agree on it. He's gonna use it for his campaign for him to be a president. They could shut that border down. They both had agreement to shut it down and to stop these immigrants coming over here. Trump told the Republicans, because they control the Senate, whatever the case may be. Trump told his guys that's the Republicans that's in the Senate to not to sign off, also with the House, not to sign off on that bipartisan agreement. This is what Trump's telling these guys to do. And the only reason why Trump is running for president so he can stay out of jail. He's a felon, my man. He's a felon. If that be you or me, no one would even consider us. He will be behind bars. He's a disrespectful person.
Well, he's going to be the first president that's a felon.
Listen, regardless of the point, though, it couldn't be. Hold on 1 second. If Obama was doing those type of things, he will be shut down.
You know it. Yeah.
Come on, I don't think this guy's not getting a break.
But Jay, you act like Obama. You acting like Obama did better for our people.
I'm not acting like Obama's doing better for our people. I'm saying, I'm just telling you straight up and down. It's a double standard. This guy is a felon. He got convicted for 34 felons, man. You understand that?
Yes.
34. That you know, you've been in the system. You know that was you. You would not get a break. This guy could talk outlandish. He could be disrespectful. He could say anything out of his mouth. You know what? What gives him the right to do that? Your guys agreeing with this guy?
All right, let's hear from Domo. You wanted to say something? Go ahead, Domo.
Well, I mean, one, let's be clear. If we talking about who won the debate, like we got to be more nuanced with how we respond to each other.
Right.
Saying Joe Biden lost the debate is not saying I agree with anything Donald Trump said. Right?
Yeah,
But
wait a minute, Domo. Me and you just had a debate last week where you was pro Biden. So I don't know who was that on the phone? Judah Nash?
No. That's my brother. That's my brother.
Yeah, it's side net of people.
Okay. I just say one thing really quick.
Yeah.
They had a debate. If you notice what they was debating about, Biden was speaking facts. Trump was speaking lies. Everything he said was a lie. Even about Nancy Pelosi said he told her that he said he was down to have 10,000 troops to come there. He did not do that. He's the main man in charge. He's the chief that runs this country. They are running over the Capitol. He can call up, say, you know what? Send the troops out, shut that down. He sat there for 3 hours and watched this. 3 hours and do anything. Okay? How do you justify that? There's innocent people that's there regardless that could get hurt. He's the chief. He's the main man in charge of running this entire world. Then furthermore, he praises Putin. He said Putin is a good guy. I like how he runs my country. He wants to be a dictatorship. Then he wants to destroy NATO. He wants to make sure women. He wants abortion to go federal, which means no one has rights to abortion. There's 22 states that women cannot have abortions. They cannot. If you can have, it's rape, incest. There's 22 countries that you are not allowed to have abortion. If it gets federal, I'm telling you, man, it's going to be a wrap, because if it gets federal, it's over for the women, for everybody.
Well, I mean, so let's.
You only care about itself.
All right.
And I'm gonna say one more thing too. One more thing. I was a victim of COVID. There's a million people that died from COVID. I suffered from COVID. He knew it. He knew before it even happened. 3 months prior to that, he could have stopped COVID. He could have did much more. There's a million people that died underneath him. Are you kidding me? You giving this guy a break?
So
all right. Wait.
Yeah, I don't know who's giving him a break. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me go.
You're saying, oh, okay, what?
Hold on, brother. Hold on,
man.
All right, hold on, Jay. Let them talk.
First,
I'm letting them talk. Go ahead.
I think you're not understanding the situation right now, right? We're simply having a discussion about who we think won the debate. Neither of us are Trump supporters, and I will say I can't stand Jim Crow Joe Biden. I don't know why he was president, especially why our people voted for him, because I can point to the policies that Jim Crow Joe Biden established that messed up our communities. That's a fact. I can point to those things. But the thing about Russia and what Trump feels about dictators, that's his personal thing. And I don't think that that's something that we should, especially us, should even take issue with or care about. When it comes to abortion, I mean, like at some point, man, we done killed about 14 million of our babies. And I'm talking about us as a quote unquote Black people since 1973. In 2 years in New York City especially, we had more Black abortions than actual live births. This was back in 2020 2012, 2013. We shouldn't be championing abortion at all. That's genocide. You got to think 13, 14 million abortions. That's the human lives, our people that are not walking this country. This is your voting bloc. These are the people that could have been voting in who we wanted to vote in, not Trump or Biden or any of these people. I wouldn't even suggested Obama. Point blank period. So we got to think about, I think, and I'm going to round it out with this. And the fact that people are having a political conversation and they have their emotions in it is a good thing. Because it's some people that say, yo, the brother is emotional, and it's true. And I know people, I was on a Twitter space last night, dudes was saying a whole bunch of stuff that you couldn't say to another man in the streets face to face over this debate. I'm like, man, y'all dudes going crazy over these two white dudes.
Over white on white violence.
But look, but the fact that we are waking up and becoming more political, even the younger generation in hip hop, they're starting to talk about who they supporting, whether it's Trump or whether it's Biden. It is a good thing for us that we are becoming politically active. So I actually appreciate your passion. I just think we have to center our focus on us and not let the mainstream media manipulate us into believing that Trump is just the bad guy and Biden is this good guy, because I can really go in on Jim Crow Joe.
All right. Hey, brother Domo, deal with that question from the Relic Show Live. What do you think about that question you see on the screen? I mean, that not question, but
abortion is not genocide, it's a woman's choice.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with that statement. I think that the medical industry, the healthcare industry as a whole has been detrimental to Black people. I think that eugenics and the method of eugenics and the institutions of eugenics are real and they've existed. You know what I'm saying? It's institutions that are built on it, but we can't obfuscate the question of abortion and then only hone in on these political purposes. What's wrong? Don't be weird, son. Oh, it died? You gotta plug it up. Sorry about that.
Silly man, he thought the ran out the battery or something.
Yeah, he ran the battery. All right. But hold on. Let Eddie speak. And so what we have to do is we have to separate those two conversations when we're talking about abortion generally. If we're gonna criticize the eugenics movement, let's do that. I don't have no problem criticizing eugenics. But when we say that the question of abortion is solely about eugenics, then that's where we're being disingenuous, because there are reproductive issues and women's health concerns associated with abortion, as well as the conversation around the control of women's bodies. Because even if we're going from a conservative perspective, conservatives argue that we need smaller government. We need less regulation. So you telling me we need less regulation on companies, but more regulations on women's bodies, which I find to be wholly, you know what I'm saying, hypocritical. So
what do you think about? Oh, go ahead.
No, so I was just gonna say, so if we want to criticize the people who haphazardly get abortions and just treat it like it's nothing, then that's cool. We can criticize those individuals, but then to use that as a way to kind of take away the rights of women, like about their specific bodies, because as men, like we don't know that. We can't experience that. We don't endure that. If we're gonna sit up there and say trans women aren't women and they can't be talking about all of this other stuff, then we also have to have the same conversation when it comes to men not being women, and then also trying to tell women what to do with their bodies.
Okay. Now, what about this? Hold on. What do you think about this, Lord Abba? To the comment I'm saying that's up there. It says
that's what I want to get to.
Abortion is not genocide. It's a woman's choice. Now, hold up.
Go.
I'm going to say, yes, it is a woman's choice, but it is also genocide at the same time. So that's my point. You see what I'm saying?
We agree.
Killing your baby, your unborn child, that is infanticide, genocide.
Infanticide.
Automatically. You know, so when you say it's not genocide, it's a woman's choice. Yes, it is a woman's choice, but she can choose the genocide. And that's what she's choosing.
Let's add a layer to it. Let's add a layer to it.
Go ahead, brother Lord Abba.
So let's just say I'm the father. I want the child.
Right.
What choice do I have? You trying to tell me you're going to take the piece of me that I put up inside of you and not consider the fact that I want to keep that child and then go and murder it? Now, I disagree with that. So now that's a talking point to just say her body, her choice. Nah, it took two people to make that baby. There's all types of contraceptives that men and women can take. Men can get the blame all the time about he should have wore a condom. Well, shouldn't have opened her legs. Men don't determine if sex is going to happen unless he physically takes it from her. And only, I think, 0.1 or 2% of pregnancies in the United States of America is by rape. We did a whole breakdown.
But does that mean
them too? Because they got
no. And I get that, right? And I get that, and I don't want to, and I'm not. And my argument isn't to undermine that position. But what I think happens in those type of situations, we overplay in our hands because it's like, as a man, I'm having that interpersonal experience, that interpersonal conflict doesn't define the issue of abortion. Because when we talk about, well, it's only 1%. Okay, let's think about what only 1% is. When we rely on that type of rhetoric, that's called utilitarianism. And when we think because it's statistically small, then it's not that big of an issue. However, when you look at the actual number, that actual number is full of people. That actual number, so it's like, it's only 1%. So that means that 1% should be ignored because men feel like, I'm a father too. I get that. And that's why I said the conversation, like those interpersonal conversations, that's one thing. But then the fact that the health concern is a actual concern. It is a real live thing, right? That can't be just dismissed because we not worried about those people who, the people that's impacted by. And so again, my position isn't that, give me, because the myth is that, if you for abortion, it'd be 8 months, you can get rid of them. It'd be 9 months, you can get rid of them. Donald Trump has been saying, and literally nobody has corrected this. Donald Trump has been saying Democrats want you to have an abortion after you have the baby. That ain't even an abortion, that's murder. When the baby come out and then you kill the baby, that's called murder. But that is the rhetoric that people are running with when it comes to these circumstances. Second, I hear all this conversation about abortion, regardless of how you feel about it. But that conversation is never as big when it comes to adoption. You don't have the same people that's telling that's talking about who has to have the baby. The same people that's talking about is genocide. The same people that's talking about fanticide. You don't hear them talking about the amount of molestation and sexual assault that kids in the system go through. We don't hear them talking about just being in the system, especially up until you get to 18, increases your likelihood of going into prison. Right. So and that's what I'm saying. So we can have the conversation about abortion. We can have the conversation about our children, but it can't just be about, what women are doing. What are we doing with kids born in circumstances with parents that can't take care of them? We don't have the same campaigns. But I'm saying we don't have the same campaign. We don't have the same. I
got you. I want to.
Well, no, I'm saying you can pull your strings up, but I can finish my point as you pull the strings.
I mean, he cut me off. I'm just saying. He talked for
we having a conversation, bro. Once it start getting like this, like we can. We ain't got to do all that. Like we allowing each other to speak.
I just want to finish my points then, if that's the case, because I got cut off the last time. And I'm just sitting there, and I am allowed.
All right, come on, because I hate when it turns.
Y'all be ready. Y'all
don't get to talk.
Y'all have questions. Y'all can also come in.
Yeah, we can.
Y'all can also come in.
This is to the person in the chat, and I think that this is important because you have feminists. No, that's right. Because there's feminists in the chat that are agreeing with the points that Domo is making, the liberal points that Domo is making, that we should stop equating abortion with genocide. So I want to give an overview of what genocide means real quick. Genocide is the intentional destruction of a group of people. Now, we all know the history of Margaret Sanger and who they specifically targeted. We know that there are billboards in our neighborhoods for Planned Parenthood like nowhere else in the country. This is an absolute fact. It says genocide is the intentional destruction of a group of people in whole or in part based on their real or perceived membership in the group. The United Nations Genocide Convention of 1948 defines genocide as 5 acts committed with the intent to destroy a group, killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, imposing living conditions intended to destroy the group. You make them poor, then you justify the want to have an abortion. Hey, sis, you're already poor. Just kill your little quote unquote black baby. Just kill it because you can't take care of it anyway, which is what Domo just tried to justify. Preventing births.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Hold on, brother. Hold on, brother.
You can't help but be disingenuous, but go ahead.
Bro, one thing about me is I don't do disingenuous. The next one is preventing births. Because I want to talk to the people that's
I mean, yeah, but we're supposed to be having a conversation. If you just want to do a presentation, it could be that. But that's what I'm saying. We're supposed to be conversing. So
preventing births within the group, as everybody can see, that is a part of genocide. 14 million of our children, babies not being born here since 1973 constitutes a genocide. Forcibly transferring children out the group. The ones that we do have, the rates of DFACS or ACS, Family and Children's Services, called on our people our children is the highest in the country. For small misunderstandings, our children get taken away. I don't know what these people are talking about, Sal. I just don't. And this is what's wrong with the politics today. The politics is off. And I just want to say this, and I'll swing it back to Domo. Is, that same person said that Black fatherlessness is an issue. See, the thing is, we do this over here. We do this 24 hours, 7 days a week. So we know for a fact that there was a study produced, and also that by the CDC, I believe the CDC either conducted the study or they were the ones to first post it. And it was about the myth of the absent Black father being a false stereotype that Black fathers are uninvolved in their children's lives. In reality, research shows that Black fathers are often just as involved or even more involved than other fathers. The paper is clear on where we're at as fathers, that out of every other group in this country, white, Hispanic, I don't care who they are, our men are more involved in the lives of their children than any other group. So don't try to paint us with this stigma that we're not there. That's some BS. That's some white supremacist nonsense. And I'm pro our men and I'm pro our families, as you can tell. So I'm not trying to hear none of that. And I got a rebuttal for all of it.
So all right. Let me say this. I really, I'm saying, I do this in real life. You feel me? Like this research and these conversations, I do this in real life. Like this is what I went to school for, everything else. I don't care about the rest of y'all's agenda. So all of this, what he trying to get you, I'm giving you information. I'm not selling no agenda. Y'all are grown people. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. I'm here to give you facts. Okay? And the fact of the matter is, there are more that Black children are more likely to be in foster care up until they're 18. They're more likely to be mistreated in foster care during their time there. And they're more likely to go from foster care to prison than any other child in foster care. Why is that? Why is that? If, again, we can have the conversation about abortion. I literally said that at the top of it. We can have the conversation about responsibility when it comes to having kids. We can point at the examples of people who play around with the issue of abortion and the issue with having children. However, if your condemnation does not move beyond pointing the finger to advocating for adoption as much as you advocate against abortion, you are wasting your breath. Because we could talk about genocide, but then we have no problem with the school to prison pipeline. We have no or the institutionalization that starts in group homes and then make it more likely that they're gonna go from one institution to the next. I'm saying I'm moving the conversation forward. We could, because all of the stuff that's being pointed out is I'm saying it's the script. It's what we always hear. It's the bingo. Oh, okay, cool. We disagree on the question of abortion. Black people ain't the only people who have abortions. White people are saying the same. How is it that black people are saying that white people are trying to genocide us with abortion, and white people are saying white people trying to genocide us with abortion? Like that, what all of that is just mass confusion. The great replacement theory, the idea that white people are being replaced, that they're being wiped out, they're saying the same thing. And so it's cool. Have that back and forth. But if you're trying to be productive, if we really talking about caring about black lives, there are living black children who are being mistreated, who are being molested, who don't have anybody to advocate for them because they already been put into the system. The conversation is short-sighted. It's caught up in this moral outrage. Niggas trying to get up on a pedestal and virtue signal. But then when it's time to talk about, okay, so cool, this woman who really ain't had no job, let's say she's a street worker, whatever, since we like talking about making these specific examples to prove our point. In this instance where it's this woman, she's a street worker, she's pregnant. She needs to have that baby, right? Okay, cool. She has that baby. Who then takes care of it? Who takes care of it? That's not even advocating, because I know how elementary this logic be operating. So me asking that question isn't saying she should have aborted it. You're right. She shouldn't have aborted. That's a life. Let's keep that life. We all agreeing that life should have been saved. Now that life is here, who is taking care of it? Who is nurturing it? Who is making sure this child is fed? Because we already know that the mama don't even know who the baby daddy is because he was a John that you know what I'm saying, that came from a business transaction. Now who is taking care of that child? So we can be outraged about abortion. I ain't got no problem with that. Have that conversation. But if your conversation only stops at no abortions, and it's not, we need to get our black babies out of these institutions where they're being molested, where they're being hurt, where they're being beat. We just found out it's a white couple that just got sentenced to like life because they had 2 black kids living in a shed. Hold on, Judah. They had 2 black children living in a shed. Oh, they had 5. It was 5 black kids living in. Okay, my fault, Judah. They had 5 black kids living in a shed. They was treating them like slaves. Hey, but we ain't got nothing to say about that.
My bad. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Because I was getting some feedback that my audio was low, and I just wanted to know.
No, we hear you.
You see, y'all can hear me, but I think on YouTube,
it's higher now.
Low.
It's higher now. It's
higher
like
now. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you louder now. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Hey, Judah, you wanted to chime in? Unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Thank you for having me on. So another peace to Brother Domo, peace to Brother Naheem. Whooped Naheem's tail in a debate a few years ago. But anyway, you guys have some great points. Listen, I'm an Israelite, so I don't believe that no pale people are gonna save, quote unquote, save our people, like, right? But I'm looking at it from a standpoint of what was going on before weekend at Bernie's took the office, right? Trump had people, I'm not saying he's excellent or he's great, but he had our people had jobs. There's a story of young black people who wanted to start a business, and they had asked for a loan. Donald Trump ripped the thing up and was like, "Yo, go start your business." So, I mean, he's a Caucasian. So if he's a racist or whatever, I think all so-called white people are racist. Like, to me, that's my opinion. I think that, right? Two,
I agree.
For those who are so adamantly against Donald Trump, and I'm not saying he's the savior or nothing like that. What I'm saying is though, we have to realize what's going on here. We have, if it's our people, you have so-called black people who are losing their housing. There's like they're literally, while the immigrants are living in luxury hotels, our people are losing their houses. And then if you don't have a house, you necessarily can't have a job, right? Because you have to have a place of residence. So it's like a, you know what I'm saying? So as far as I just woke up, you guys. I'm not sure if you guys brought about reparations. If you guys did, I'm not sure if you guys did or not. But
no, we ain't talked about reparations.
Okay, but as a myself too, I was a foster child, right? So I grew up in the system for a little bit, then until I moved with my grandmother. So I get what both are saying. However, I don't agree with the unaliving babies. That's my opinion, because it takes two to tango, right? Now there are instances where women get violated, and they get pregnant. At the same time, as like somebody pointed out, I'm not sure if it was either Naheem or Domo, you can adopt. There's a brother, y'all know Devion. We have a brother that his mom was smoking crack, doing fentanyl, doing this, doing that. We know the child's going to grow up with developmental issues, but they adopted the baby, and they're not even 30 years old. So you don't have to. I'm not trying to be long-winded. I'm not sure, but I see some people in the chat. I'm not sure, but I hear that when sisters are pregnant and they go to the hospital, the nurses automatically ask them off rip, do they want to get rid of the baby? I'm not sure if that's true or not. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, this all goes back to Margaret Sanger and eugenics. I mean, it's just a fact, Domo. You know what she said? She's like, she's really trying to, reduce our population. So, but you guys both said great points. I'm gonna go back in the chat. Thanks for having me up, man. It was a dope debate, you guys. Even though you guys beat my debate before, y'all, I'm mad at both of y'all for that. But it was a great debate, you guys. Thanks, Shazadeh, for keeping this rolling, because this is a topic that, especially Israelites too. We Israelites, when I say Israelites, I'm not just the practicing ones. We some do-nothingers. We are. I'm not saying we got to be super, super politically astute and get all the way or whatever, but we can't sit back and do nothing. Like we just can't sit back. Jesus is not going to crack the sky and help us do what we need to do. We got to put in some work ourselves. So we need to be more politically astute. Domo actually taught me about politics, and another brother who's currently in the sunken place drunk every day. But Domo taught me about politics like 4 or 5 years ago. And ever since then, I've been more, interested in paying attention. So yeah, I don't want to be long winded. Thanks for having me up, man. I hope y'all keep this going. This is
Hey, hold on for 1 minute, Judah.
Okay.
Is it all right for a Hebrew Israelite to run for office or no?
Great question.
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a very good question. I actually think that it's okay. I think it's okay. In the Torah, we were always involved with the governments, with foreign governments. Even though we were in captivity, we dealt with the kings and whatever. So there's we need to be more politically astute. If you get a Israelite that's there for everybody, for all of our people, not just this little cult, but is there for the benefit of all of our people. Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, do that. But we got too many do-nothing or cult members who don't want to do nothing. We're waiting for Jesus.
Okay. Thank you, man. Hey, one more thing. Your curtains behind you, are they green?
Blue. They're blue.
Oh,
I know. It looks weird,
so
right?
you're trying to get your green screen on, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Let me
yeah. What do y'all think about what he's saying, man? Anybody? Or want to take it somewhere else? What's up?
No, I mean, I thought he made some good points. And, that was an excellent question, Sarnetta, about should Hebrew Israelites run for office. Anybody that follows my, I guess, career, I don't know what to call it, or my tenure on Sarnetta's TV. If you go back and you look at the debate me and Ali Muhammad had, at the very end of that debate, I said that we need to come together and with political unity. I don't care if you're a Hebrew Israelite and you call on Yahweh, or I can't pronounce how they say it. Ba Yasham, I can't pronounce it.
How about Yahweh Shah, Barakatah?
They done converted Sarnetta, but
he done heard it enough times. He done heard it enough times.
Hey, for you, Lord Apple, y'all Moors, y'all talk about the law all day. How come I don't see no Moors running for office?
But that's not true. I did an interview on Moorish Science Radio when I had Blog Talk Radio about 7-8 years ago. I interviewed a brother that was running in Philadelphia. There's a brother up in New York, up in Syracuse, New York. I can't remember his name or rip. There's a lot of brothers from the Moorish movement that actually ran for office. No, definitely, man. But I used to always say that we need political unity right now. One of the things that Tupac said before he got killed was, I'm going to start a new political party. He said, I'm inviting Hebrew Israelite, all you lost tribe mother effers, this one, that one, and we're going to be one party and we're going to move one way. And I think that we have to get back to that thinking, because what Judah Nash said is right. Jesus is not going to crack the sky open and descend with 10,000 angels with flaming swords killing all white people, right? It's going, if that's going to happen, all the sinners is going to die anyway. And if that is going to happen, what do we do until then? Do we pine away in ignorance, letting the world pass us by in a representative democracy where any one of us could be mayor? Any one of us can be state senator or United States senator. We could be governor. That's just a fact. That's a fact. So we should not sit around and wait for some divine thing to happen when we have every means and tool to utilize for us to save ourselves.
All right. Real quick, this question is for the panel. Which administration has the best plan for Social Security? Because the people is in fear saying Trump is going to try to take away the Social Security, take away, Medicaid and stuff like that. So which one of y'all think who has the best plan for Social Security? Go ahead, Judah.
I would say that Donald Trump didn't speak too much about it, but because there's so many, when I say this, I'm not against immigration or whatever, but all these immigrants coming in, there's just simply no way to maintain the Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security and things like that. When you have all these people coming in who are not citizens, it just takes away from the American people. It's just a simple fact. And I want to say this too. Yeah. Malcolm X too, before he was assassinated, he got more political. So I wanted to say that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Domo. Anybody else? You can get it in too. Daniels, you can cut in. You want?
So I think Social Security is one of them what I'll call like political footballs. You know what I'm saying? That kind of just get passed around in terms of like the conversation. Like, because for like, even if we just talking about Trump, for example, there's been times where Trump was catering to a particular audience, and he was like, yeah, man, if I got to get rid of Medicare, if I got to get rid of Medicaid, if I got to get rid of the Social Security, we'll do that. And then when he hears the backlash, then it's no, I'm protecting Social Security. Same thing with Joe Biden. So it's difficult to say which one has the better plan for either one, because neither one of them has been definitive. You know what I'm saying, about like what it is. Now Joe Biden has been a bit more definitive, saying that he's not going to touch it and all these types of things. But like I said, Joe Biden said he was going to get rid of the kids being in cages. And it's still kids in cages. So it's like it's difficult to assess who we think is going to be better based off of things like the debate, you know what I'm saying, or public statements. Because if anybody take anything from Damo as a part of this conversation, all of that stuff is propaganda. It's talking points. It's things that they say to see like, oh, I'm gonna say this and see how people respond. Oh, they ain't like that. Are we taking that back? I got a whole new plan. I got a whole new, you know what I'm saying, initiative to come with it. It's really more about like, and especially with Trump and Biden, we have an opportunity to see both of them in office. Biden had a term, Trump had a term. Didn't neither one of them really do anything to Social Security. Didn't neither one of them, and they didn't even talk about Social Security as something that was important to their campaign. The most that Donald Trump talked about was getting rid of Obamacare, which he failed at that. But it's still one of them things to where I think Social Security is going to stay. Like it's going, like as long as we have it. If it get to a point where we run out, like, I mean, which is kind of getting there, then we'll see. Like we don't know if my generation will be able to benefit from Social Security. You know what I'm saying? The same way that your generation or the people before you has. But ultimately, I think it's a question. Whatever candidate is able to speak outside of the pharmaceutical lobby and the medical industry lobby, and speak outside, because those are the ones that's really trying to get rid of it. But again, it's one of them things that we got to take with a grain of salt anytime they speak on it, because what they've said and then how they've moved have always been different when it came to Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid.
Yeah, let me just add I'm gonna camel back on what Domo said. These guys are not gonna do anything. It's political theater. They've been talking about slashing Social Security for decades. The right wing wants it slashed because when social safety nets were finally given to our people 30 years after the New Deal and the welfare programs that built up the white middle class, you know, they were getting whole slices of the cake. When it was time for us to get it after being excluded from it for 30 years, they gave us crumbs. And then they complained about it. Why? Because, well, they want us to die. And if you got free Medicaid or Medicare, then you could go to the doctor, get checked out, and get fixed what's wrong with you, right? And so it's a right-wing ploy to keep making this promise that they're going to slash Medicaid and they're going to end the program. They never do it. Not one administration has done it. They've not done anything to it, anything. And the Democrats, they in turn use it to threaten you into voting for the Democrats by saying the Republicans are going to take, right? They're going to take your Social Security away. It's political theater. And I think once we understand that, we start making more informed decisions about looking at politics for what it is as opposed to what they're representing it to be.
Yeah. The brother Willie Daniels, saw on the phone, so you can go ahead.
I like your nickname, bro, the Abo Stomper. I gotta keep it. I don't think I heard from you before, but anybody that's against the Abos,
I've been on side a few times.
Okay.
Say what I have to say, but I got a question for everybody on the panel. What's up, everybody on the panel?
What up with it?
Do you love a well-dressed lie or a naked fact? What's more important to you?
The facts are always important.
So the facts are more important to you. When you look at the debate between Biden and Trump, you got one guy that's a well-dressed lie. We all know it off the rip. And we got another guy just telling naked facts. How can you say that the facts lost to the lie? How could you ever say that?
Oh, I can answer that easy. Because it's similar. It's along the lines of what Unc says. Right? Unc says something about like a well-organized lie defeats a disorganized truth.
Yes.
And when you got to understand, most people that tuned into the debate ain't really been paying attention to it, to politics outside of just what they've been picking up on the headlines. And so what's more important with people watching, the viewership, is how are you coming off? And even though this concept has kind of been disputed throughout history, we know that principle plays a role based going all the way back to Nixon versus John F. Kennedy, right? The way that they talk about it is
switch the screen, sir.
The way that they talk about it is like if you listen to the debate on the radio between Nixon and Kennedy. Nixon won. If you watched the debate on TV, because this was the first televised debate, Kennedy won, right? And so it wasn't even that Nixon was old. It was that his makeup was running, his suit was too big, he had lost weight, you know what I'm saying, due to him being on the campaign trail, and so he didn't look good. And so if you was just watching it and you're trying to perceive, like I'm looking for the leader of this country, they're talking about a lot of deep things, but they don't have enough time to get deep within it, right? So it's only, okay, what talking points do I attach myself to? And then also perception wise, who looks like they can do the job better? And if we compare Nixon to Biden in this instance, Biden did not look like he could do the job better. Now, his policies may be better, his initiatives may be better, whatever. But if we just going off our eye test, which we can't ignore, right? But if we just going off our eye test, Joe Biden came off as he was too old, and that's not a good look if you're trying to go for another 4 years after 4 years ago you was too damn old then. You see what I'm saying? And you look worse.
But here's the thing with the age. They're basically the same age. So
how about like 3-4 year difference?
Yeah, they're a couple years different. So basically they two old guys. We can't get around that. But the reason why I asked you that question,
I'm gonna answer your question.
Come on.
In detail. All right, share my screen, sir, real quick. See, one thing we can't do is forget who Joe Biden is, because he's a liar too. Joe Biden is a liar too. When he gave that speech on the House floor about us, it was a bunch of lies. It was a bunch of lies. So I don't want us to ever forget that. But every news agency that's worth their salt did a fact check, presidential debate fact check. What Trump, Biden got right and wrong. Trump claimed everybody wanted Roe v. Wade overturned. Well, you know, they found the poll, Pew Research poll, 57%, yada, yada, yada. Biden claimed historians voted Trump worst president in history. That was a lie. Andrew Johnson is the worst president in U.S. history. Biden claimed we lowered the cost of an insulin shot from $400 to, you see what I'm saying? So both of them were up there lying. So to say that one represented naked truth and the other one represented a well-dressed lie is mischaracterizing really Joe Biden's stance, because he's just as much of a liar as Donald Trump.
Okay, so let me counter that. Even the point that you brought up about Joe Biden, like when he did the crime 1984 crime bill and all that, what was Donald Trump side on that at the time when that happened? He was a Democrat. He was supporting the Democratic Party at that time. So when we speak about lies, we have to look at who's really lying and who's just blowing smoke up our backs. You look at the facts right now. Trump came into office to dismantle everything that benefited us. He got a Supreme Court judges in place to take down Roe versus Wade, and he said this in the debate, if you was listening. When I get into office the next time, I am going to dismantle the Constitution. He sat there and said that right in front of our faces because he knows he has an opportunity to get 4 more Trump judges in there. Once he gets those judges in there, he can take down the U.S. Constitution and take our rights that our parents fought to get for us, the Civil Rights Bill. He can dismantle that, which our parents fought, got beat up, got dogs attacked on them, got killed, for us to even have the right to be on a channel like Signetters to talk about. Now, if that don't mean nothing to y'all, I don't know what else to say.
Look, all right, so because you conflated a lot of issues, right? Number one, Trump, and the chat is doing their fact checks too, right? And shout out to my Be the Power bros that's in the chat. Trump wasn't a politician, right? That's really a moot point. Many people supported Biden's crime bill because Biden lied even to black politicians about what was going to happen. And when it happened, oh, well, I'll give you a resource.
Time out real quick. Hey, family, please lighten up on timing people out in the comment section. Lighten up. Let them live.
Simply read Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow. That's your reference. That will help you in your understanding. You made it seem as if, Trump said before he got into office, he was going to overturn Roe v. Wade. He said he was going to undo the things. Well, okay, you said he was going to undo the things that benefited us, and then you got into Roe v. Wade. That's exactly what you did. Abortion doesn't benefit us. Lowering our population numbers does not benefit us, right? And to even go back to Domo's point, I asked everybody on this panel, would you rather be the adopted son of adopted parents or have never existed at all? Come on, that's an easy question to answer. So, I got to provide some pushback to that because there's a lot of fear mongering in politics, and we're being conditioned to look at one of these guys as if, like, I don't support Trump. If go through my Facebook wall, go through my Twitter feed, you will see my critiques, harsh criticisms of Trump during the whole presidency. But to somehow say that Biden is not the same as Trump, that things are going to be better for us if we keep Biden when things have not been better for us. Homelessness after 2021, and I showed that in the debate last week, in 2022 and in 2023, homelessness skyrocketed among our people. So the Biden administration is lying, saying that they've reduced the Black homelessness by pointing to when they had a surplus of CARES and Act money, COVID relief money that helped renters who were struggling post-COVID with, because a lot of people didn't have jobs, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's just BS. It's BS. We have to look at this thing for what it is. We can't let the media manipulate us. We don't watch Fox News, right? So what we watch is
we shouldn't be watching MSNBC either.
That's right. We shouldn't be watching MSNBC
or CNN, any of that.
Or CNN.
Tell us why.
Oh, all right.
Hold on. Let me say one thing. Let me say one thing. When a president puts his policies down, how long before the trickle effect of his policies affect our community? How long?
Well, it all depends on which policies that you're speaking about. The president doesn't necessarily put the policies down. That's what the lawmakers, that's what the legislative branch does. A president can issue an executive order and something could be effective immediately. If it were to survive legal challenges, et cetera, et cetera. But it's the legislative body that puts these things in place. And usually the legislators get on board with the president's plan and start pushing the president's plan. This is what happened with us with Obama. This is why the banks got bailouts, because Congress brought into Obama's policies and it ignored our plight. So while we were sinking, the rest of the country was rising in every financial institution. And now we're still in a protracted decline. So, the president is not a legislator. The president can issue executive orders, etc., but he doesn't necessarily come up with the policies that we see that affect our lives on a day-to-day. That wasn't Trump's COVID bill, right? When Biden passed the COVID hate crimes bill, when he signed it, that wasn't his thing. That was the legislators that got together and agreed on that and put it through the House, and then it passed the Senate, and then Biden signed it. Like that. That's how the process works.
Right. I get that.
So real quick, because I think what ends up happening is, because when we talk about legislative victories of presidents, it was never the president that actually did the work for it to become legislation. It was Congress. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all the president does is sign it or advocate for it or endorse it at the end of the day. Right.
Right.
But
I'm 100% with that. But the reason why I asked that was if the bill is signed by the president, it has a time before it starts to affect the communities. And the reason why we're dealing with a lot of high food, high rates on everything is because of the deregulation of Donald Trump. We're dealing with that right now. We've been dealing with it all through Biden's presidency, and no one wants to speak on that.
Let's be a little bit more specific though. So because I think, and this is the reason why we got to stop watching cable news, is because it's things that we talk about when it comes to the president that ain't really got anything. Excuse my French side, but ain't got shit to do with the president. But we still be like, oh, the president. Like, for example, gas prices. Everybody's always talking about, well, under Trump, the prices was. That ain't got nothing to do with the president. That has everything to do with corporate greed. When we talk about inflation, that there are cycles now. They can introduce legislation that make the cycle worse or make it better, but there are cycles that take place through our economy regardless of who's in office. The question is, how do they deal with it, right? Because when we talk about these types of things, especially when we talk about economic things, we have a free market economy. That means that the institutions that's impacting the market the most are separate from the government. They move on their own. There is some regulation, but for the most part, they move on their own. And so what ends up happening is we resuscitate these same conversations and point the finger at the individual president, as opposed to doing more to understand how things got here in the first place. Because it's like your point about Trump is the reason why inflation is taking place. Not necessarily. right? Inflation is really a natural response to certain things taking place in the economy. We're trying, and this is where I want us to start taking the conversation. Let's actually talk about the impact of legislation, not just, oh, this is the type of stuff they pass. Like, so for example, Trump's tariffs. One could argue that Trump's tariffs actually did make things more expensive because it ended up, it cost Americans like over 100,000 something jobs. But then at the same time, because of the relationship that was then developing with these other countries, with these exporters that we were getting stuff from, that the tariffs were being placed on, that extra cost because of the tariffs got displaced onto the consumer. Right. So we can argue that there are, Donald Trump did do things to make things a bit more expensive. But at the same time, we also have to recognize that what happens under inflation will happen regardless of who the president is. It's just, will they make it worse or will they make it better? Now, I agree with your point that a lot of what Donald Trump is claiming was good numbers under his administration were due to policies that was introduced by the Obama administration. Even prior, I showed the graphs in our debates that just showed that Donald Trump was just kind of piggybacking off of an already, elevating economy. But at the same time, I feel like we have to be more nuanced with what it is that we're talking about. And I don't think we talk enough about specific legislation. Like we don't talk about the Inflation Reduction Act in and of itself. We don't talk about the Donald Trump's tax plan in and of itself. We talk about these things that they do, but not necessarily, we don't really fully understand their impact. And so that's why I think it'd be better if we have something that we want to complain about with Donald Trump, to just talk about the policy. Like what did he actually do? Because I understand, Lord Apple, that just calling everything racist in 2024, yeah, they didn't. It's kind of, it's muted. It doesn't have the same impact because it's just this general term now that everybody's throwing at each other, and we really don't. What difference is it making? You feel me? So
I want to add a point, Domo, if you don't mind, bro, because there's this idea that the Biden administration, what is her name? Yeah, Janet Yellen. Hold on, I'm gonna pull this up. I hope Sai's on because I want him to see this. I want everybody to see this. So I want to pull this up. This is when Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, I believe she is, went to the door of no return in Ghana. I believe that's in Ghana. And they were in Africa. So the reporters are asking the question about, can you share that, Sai?
Sai might have dipped out for a few minutes.
Sai probably reading up something on the new Knicks draft picks. They call it Killer Nova right now.
Killer, yeah. But
I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it. It says, let me see. I'm gonna start from here. This is from the Associated Press. It says, we know that the tragedy did not stop with the generation of humans taken from here, she added. Even after slavery was abolished, Black Americans, many of whom can trace their descendants through ports like this across Africa, were denied the rights and freedoms promised to them under our Constitution. So there's an admission of the debilitating freedoms, the debilitated freedoms that we had as citizens in this country. There's an admission. Later in an interview with the Associated Press, Yellen said that while promoting diversity and racial equity is a key goal, quote, the administration has not embraced reparations as the answer. See, people want to have the reparations discussion because they believe that Jim Crow Joe Biden in the Democrats is going to somehow support this issue that we are fighting for. But the fact of the matter is they're not. They don't care about it. Nobody wants to see us on top in this country, and this is why we must become the power ourselves. And it is my hopes that in these discussions we can be inspired to become politicians. I would love to be on an actual debate stage debating Domo or Willie Daniels on our political positions to the rest of our constituency. I'm coming to cook. I'm letting y'all know that. But the point is, I believe that each one of us is going to come do things that's good for our people if we can get outside of the party lines. We can't operate within the party lines and think that we're going to do good things for our people. It's just not going to happen. Domo, you know, I don't know if you agree or disagree with that, but I
agree wholeheartedly. Like Democrat versus, and then I'm gonna just say this, and you got it, Willie. The Democrat versus Republican paradigm is the worst thing happening in black politics today. It's not that we on one side or the other. It's that we think that we fit in that. The mainstream Democrat and the mainstream Republican, you don't fit in black person. That's why the reparations conversation don't matter across the board. If it's anything that Democrats and Republicans agree on, niggas don't deserve reparations. If it's anything Democrats and Republicans agree on, is that black jobs are low skill, low wage labor. Like we found that out the other night. You see what I'm saying? If it's anything that they agree on, it's the underlying anti-blackness and how our political structures work. So black people adhering themselves to either Democrat or Republican is putting yourself on a plantation. Period. You are the help. You are a vote. You feel me? And Maurice Duverger, real quick, and this is a lot because I could go 20 minutes talking about the problems with parties. I'll say this: Maurice Duverger is a leading political scientist, French political scientist, pointed out that the biggest mistakes that voters make is tying themselves to parties, because once you tie yourself to any party, they no longer have to work for your vote. When you go and cast your ballot, your name is not at the top of that hoe. The only reason people know who you vote for is because you take your ass out of that booth and you run around talking about, I proudly voted for this person. I proudly voted for that person. Think about a world where an election took place and nobody knows the demographic of how people voted. We just know it was a winner. We don't know that 90% of people voted this way and not. All we know is that somebody won. That will put politicians on their toes much more, because they don't know. Well, I can't pander because I don't know who was the main group that, you feel me? So we have to take it upon ourselves to disconnect from the Democrat versus Republican paradigm and think about politics. Well, for me, I think about politics from the situation of being black in America. That's why I center my politics. Not no red, blue, liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican. What does it mean to be black in America, and what policy priorities have to do with being that individual? Go ahead, Willie.
So let me ask you all a question, because Lord Abba brought up reparations, right? We know at least two groups of people got reparations, right? The Jews and the Chinese, right? We know this. It's documented,
Asian
right?
people and Native Americans.
Well, I'm either the Chinese or the Japanese, whoever was
Japanese Americans got reparations here.
Yeah.
From Germany,
right? So,
but indigenous Americans Americans also receive reparations, okay. And black people actually have received reparations. It just wasn't. It just wasn't a check.
He means
federally.
Yeah,
okay, federally.
I'm speaking federally. I'm speaking what we know for a fact. We see when you type it in, this is what pops up. There was no Jewish politicians pushing that. The Jews worked in solidarity. The Chinese or the Japanese, whichever ones, I don't know which group was, they worked in solidarity without any politics to push their agenda. And this is where we keep failing at. We won't push in one understanding of each other to get our agendas pushed through. We keep infighting with each other more than anything. Instead of asking them, we should be demanding it. And that's why I feel we fall short. Even in our conscious community, we fall short on the information because we don't demand the truth. We accept a well-dressed lie.
Well, no, I mean, I think
let me jump in on that.
Yeah.
We are demanding it, brother. There's
Not enough of us.
Well, that may be true, but those of us that have some political voice and political traction and starting to get some skin in the game. I call us fledgling eagles, right? We're still in the nest flapping our wings, but we're about to fly. The very reason why Janet Yellen was asked about reparations was because of us. The very reason why the Biden, debate that was happening in 2020, that question of reparations kept coming up. It was because of us. It was because of these different groups from around the country that are not just asking, because this is something that's, we are demanding based on the economic forecast that shows that by 2053, if you remove our cars, homes, things that actually depreciate in value, if you remove what's called durable goods out of the equation, we will be at $0 at the median net worth of a household. Right now, we're only at $1,700 when you remove those things, the car with its note, the mortgage, etc., etc. That dip that we got started in 2010 under the Obama administration, and we've never recovered. And now we don't even know what the post-COVID numbers are. So we have to fight, but we need to get more politically active. We need to make sure that we have discussions and debates like this so that we could get it right. Dr. King said in his book something that I've repeated before I even read his book, which I'm urging everybody to read.
Which book?
Where do we go from here? Chaos or community? It is his most seminal work, and he's talking his, so I don't want us to curse, but he's talking his stuff in that book. He letting it be known I put in work. Yeah, Black Panthers. Yeah, Nation of Islam.
We know you in the backside. We know you.
Look, wait, let me finish the point real quick.
Yeah.
MLK said what I've said over the years and have been saying in a different form as well. We were to employ that old Hegelian dialectical, we would solve most of our problems. So what is Hegel's dialectic? Thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. So me and Domo have differences. Me and yourself, we have our differences. I have my thesis, y'all have y'all's thesis. It is the duty of us, if what we're trying to do is put our people in a better position politically, to come to the table, have these discussions, have these debates, and figure out where we're wrong at. Forget the talking points. Let's look up the facts. I don't think none of them people are good for us. Only we will be good for us. But we eliminate, right? This is the antithesis part. We eliminate all of the bastards. Like, yo, Domo, that was wrong, bro. Like, yeah, I admit that. Lord Abba, that thing you right there, look, that's wrong. Yeah, let's get rid of that. And then the last part is the synthesis. So the parts that I got right, that can be proven to be 100% factual, and the parts that Domo and yourself got right that can be proven to be 100% factual, we merge into one thing. And then this is just the political maturity. And it's not, we shouldn't just do that in politics. We should do that in consciousness and everything that we undertake insofar as studies are concerned. But in politics, where we can agree that we need to be unified, regardless if we call ourselves Moors, Hebrew Israelites, gods and earths, Muslims of the Nation of Islam,
Black,
etc.,
Black, Negro,
all of that, right? Regardless, we need to put those, and I'll end with this, because you said not everybody. There was an interview that MLK did with about 5 or 6 other civil rights leaders back in the days. And my brother Ali, shout out to my brother Ali Bey, and shout out to my whole BTP team. He brings it up all the time because that question was asked to MLK. How do you get everybody on board? And MLK was always a reasonable individual. He said, you will not be able to get everybody on board. That's a difficult task. But what you can do is build the creative minority, basically them people that know what they talking about, based off of what I just said, that Hegelian dialectic, so that we move with the synthesis of right information and then take our people in the political direction that's needed by, number one, us becoming the politicians. That's the number one. Like I come on Sarnetta's show and I talk about the Back South strategy, and I always mess with them. I say, because Mayor Frank Gary sounds good to me of some city in, you know what I'm saying, in South Carolina or North Carolina. I think Senator Way, that's my last name. I think Senator Way sounds very good. I'm just saying. I'll take House Representative Way as well. You see, we got to start thinking like that now.
Nah, and yeah, and to follow up with that, like, because you had mentioned it before when Malcolm was talking about we need the political maturation, and I feel like the Ballad of the Bullet speech, it should be one of the key. It should be foundational to how Black people understand politics, right? And the reason why is when he talks about the political philosophy of Black nationalism, it's just that Black people are in control of the politics and the resources of their community. That's it. It ain't that Black people are Muslim. It's not that Black people are Christian. It's that but the people who call themselves Black are in control of how their community operates politically. And in order to do that, we have to understand the role that politics plays in the community. A lot of y'all, and this is why I'm gonna say something about reparations is gonna piss a lot of people off. Even though I believe in reparations and I do think we deserve them without a doubt. But a lot of y'all think that that policy and legislation is supposed to solve the problem. It don't work like that when it comes to Black people. Policy and legislation is supposed to remove the barriers to open opportunity for Black people to solve the problem themselves. None of these, even if we elect more Black people to office, they're not our saviors. Michael Eric Dyson said it best. Obama was not Moses. He was Pharaoh. Every politician is a representation of Pharaoh. They represent the establishment. They represent the empire, the American empire as it's situated today. So the goal for Black politicians is to mitigate the circumstances of that empire to allow for Black self-reliance, to allow for Black people to do things and create things on their own without the barriers that have been created by racism, by capitalism and poverty and those types of things. But this idea that some, like, even when people be like, well, what did he do for Black people? Constitutionally, let's just to get this out the way, constitutionally, no president can say this is something that is specifically that I'm specifically putting in place for Black people. They tried to do that with affirmative action, even though everybody benefited from affirmative action. But affirmative action being a Black thing, yeah, they got that smooth up out of there, called it unconstitutional and said it violated the Civil Rights Act. So once you have legislation, it's like, yo, you can't say Black, you can't say white, right? You can't identify these things the way, like, based on any one particular individual group. Then we have to kind of shift what we understand is in terms of what did they do for Black people. And it's about addressing circumstances. It's about challenging what's happening, not framing it towards the people. You know what I mean? And so if we had more people in politics that understood it from that perspective, which I would argue that there are a lot of people in politics who do understand it from that perspective, but there is information that shows, it's a study that shows that they're outnumbered. There aren't enough people who advocate for things known as Black interest bills. And these are bills that are being advocated for that address certain racial disparities, but don't say this is for Black people. But the goal of the bill is to address racial disparities. So we have to kind of remove the apathy that we feel towards politics and actually get involved in a way to where it's like we recognize all of us can be politicians. Like Abbott said, we all have the capacity to do it. And we spend all this time talking about senators and Joe Biden and Donald Trump and everybody else. We'll never talk about city council. When there are hundreds of thousands of Black people who live in cities where a city council has one or less than one Black person in it. We don't talk about school boards. And while 70% of school boards in this country are made up of white people, and there's data that shows that white school board members actually work against the interests of the Black students that exist under that school board. And my favorite My favorite, because Abba, you've been talking about the you like to bring up the crime bill. We don't ever talk about district attorneys and voting for black district attorneys. Because regardless of what the crime bill says, the district attorney has the final say on who gets prosecuted. And it's data that shows that racial disparities in prisons are decreased when you have black district attorneys. I mean, so a lot of this could be solved by black people picking up the mantle and saying, I could be a part of this too. But unfortunately, we get caught up in the voting aspect, like not understanding that there's so much more important things that we have to do before we get to the ballot box in the first place. And if you haven't done all the prerequisite work before you get to the ballot box, your vote don't mean shit. Your vote doesn't mean anything.
Well, let me clear couple things up you said, because I live in Detroit. And we got a black district attorney. Her name is Kim Worthies. She locking black men up every chance she get. We've been fighting against this for the last 15 years. We've been fighting against city council trying to change education in Detroit. It's a lot deeper than just getting black people in the seats to represent us.
But
they gotta have
because here's the thing, because like the problem with that is that pointing out one example, like I could pull up the study that talks about how having black district attorneys decrease like those disparities. While I get that's not saying like,
but I can't.
Tim Scott is a black, but that's what I'm saying. I can't speak
for Louisville, Kentucky. I can only speak for the community that I'm in right now. I can't speak for New York. I can't speak for where you at. That's why I'm bringing up the examples.
But you can speak for these things when you look at more data outside of just what you see. Like there are people who are doing the work to be like, I want to understand across the nation. And so we limit ourselves when we're just like, well, this is all I see, instead of doing the research to understand what's happening across the board.
Bro, I'm with you 100% with that. I hear you completely. But what I'm saying, what's happening in New York will have zero effect on me in Detroit. So I have to focus on my community right here first before I can even be concerned with any other community. And when I bring up Detroit, to explain to you that we have issues just because we got black people in the seats. They're not fully representing the black community. They're actually working with the white supremacy system and dismantling part of the community. Because if that was the case, when Donald Trump was here just a week ago, what did he represent? Did he come in and represent the black community, or did he come in and represent the people that was willing to support him and his agenda?
So here's the thing. Because I think that church.
Because
I don't know if you was actually asking a question, or was that rhetorical? Was you actually asking? Was that rhetorical?
No, I wasn't. That was a rhetorical. I was just saying, look at the picture. We can paint one picture, but that's not the picture that's always being seen. Because we can get black politicians in these seats, but does that mean that the black politicians in this seat is going to actually work for the black community?
Okay, I'll say this. I'll say this, and then we can hear from Abu. You're admitting that you're speaking from a very limited perspective.
No, I'm not.
Like, because you said you only talking about. Hold on, you said you only talking about Detroit, and when at the point where you say. All I could talk about is Detroit because that's what I've seen. Then why preface it with that in the first place?
Well, let's work.
Why include that you can only talk about Detroit? Because I can talk about New York, I can talk about LA, I can talk about Houston, I can talk about Chicago. We can because if our job is to really understand these things, we can't just look at everything that's in our reach and say that's all I can understand. Because I get it. You have because my point isn't that all black politicians represent all black people. That's not the point. That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that if we want to increase our ability to have anybody that look like us advocating, it starts with electing black people. Because the problem that you speaking to, and then I'll pass it on, I'm gonna be long-winded about this. The problem you speaking to is what I was saying in terms of the work that we did before we voted for them. Because what we don't do as black people is we don't find political talent. We don't make sure that they're able to get their education. We don't groom politicians the same way that politicians are groomed in other communities. I came from the collegiate policy debate community. The argument that they made to advocate for their community is to say this is the ground for future policymakers. That means that when white kids go into policy debate, they know that they're doing so with the opportunity for them to be able to create laws. We don't do that. We don't push our kids to understand and to be involved in those things early on. We don't identify that talent and then say, I know what you can do, and we as a community is gonna make sure you're able to go to college, get your education, go to law school and get your education, and then we gonna bring you back and we're gonna vote for you as the person to represent our community. We don't do that. And until we start grooming our politicians, we're going to keep complaining about the type of black politicians we have because we're not invested in building them to get to that position. We wait till they get there and then start caring. And that's the problem.
Hey, Sa, check what I just texted you. That's the link to the Twitter feed. So you can see, like the political discussion is one that's very, very prevalent on Twitter. So when you click on that link, you should be able to see that we have 241 live viewers on Twitter streaming through my platform, so that everybody's getting this discussion right now. So shout out to you, Shanetta, and shout out to everybody that's watching, even my family on Be the Power right now. These discussions are vital. And, the brother made a good point about the black woman that's locking up the black men in his community right after Domo made his point. And our problem is that we are not politically unified. If you listen to the debate last week, the main critique that I heard for Domo's talking points is that he just sounded like the typical cookie cutter Democrat, right? Because this is what they say. This is what they condition people to. Now you may disagree, but let me just, because this is the feedback that I got. And we know because we're in this space, we're having the debates. The main people that, believe it or not, that we're having debates with is Democrats, because these are the ones that are basically trying to say, yo, just hold off on that reparations stuff until our man get in. Then they man get in, and now we don't want to talk about reparations anymore. It's, oh, y'all must be MAGA. Wait a minute, what about the conversation on reparation? So this is why we stress the importance of us being in the political position to do the things necessary for our people. Because if that brother or someone he knows that shares his philosophy was the prosecutor out there, then we may have a different outcome depending, right? Because poverty breeds crime. And one of the things that we know that this cracker did to us was that he put us in these impoverished conditions,
and robbed
so
of his resources.
We would be forced to go into, if you get hungry, you got to eat. It's just as simple as that. Even if you remember the scene from Martin, or he wanted some of that pie, his brain probably just told him, you're not getting enough sugar, and you gotta go get some of that pie. I'm about to go cross the gun line to get some of that pie. He risked his life. And that's the situation when it comes to our people right now. So, I just, that's my take on that particular volley y'all just had.
But and let me respond to this. Like, I sound like a typical Democrat conversation, right? This is when black people make that comment, this shows how brainwashed we've been in the Democrat versus Republican paradigm. If we can recognize that Democrats was the original racists, right? Democrats were the ones that was fighting for the Confederacy. Democrats were the one that was maintaining slavery. The Dixiecrats that came after were the ones that was still holding on to the white racist values before we saw the transition kind of flip, right? It was black people talking about racism when Democrats was the racists, or like the Republicans, let's say it now. Like when Democrats held on to racist values, black people was calling out racism. We were calling out institutions. We was calling out the impact of these institutions on black communities. So to turn around and say that because somebody's talking about racism, or they forefront racism, or centering racism, or calling out the racism of a candidate, that they say the same thing that Democrats say, that means that you've allowed for the Democratic Party to then monopolize social justice talking points. That's excuse my language, but that's fucking stupid.
So let me
Democrats do. Hold on. Democrats do not own the conversation about progressivism, especially if you recognize that Joe Biden isn't a progressive. Joe Biden is not a liberal. Joe Biden was put on the Obama campaign to make him more amenable to white people.
But let me just say, you made the arguments for Biden.
No. Okay, first of all, hold on. But think about what you're saying. I made the arguments for Biden in the context of the debate.
Okay, I'll give you that.
You see what I'm saying? So like when you say you're not a Trump supporter, but you're going to, but you there are things that you think would be better under Trump than Biden. I didn't say that you was a conservative. I understood that you were making a comparative argument. So just because
wait, real quick, I wasn't making any Trump arguments, right? If it was any point, that's why I was. I know if it was any point you won, it was that one right there. You came to have a debate, but you're not talking about Trump stuff. I was like, yeah, that's right. I ain't come here. I just came here to go at Mike.
But I just want to hold on real quick. I just want to bring home the point that the idea that black people talking about shit things that they care about, that it automatically means that you sound like Don Lemon or one of these other people. That means that you're caught in a trap. You can't even interpret or understand or rationalize the conversation outside of red versus blue. That's not the fault of Damo. That is the failure of your logic. That's the failure of your comprehension to be able to understand somebody making an argument and who it is that they advocate for. And so that's why I'm like, we need to teach the people and have more conversations like these, because most people aren't exposed to leftists. Most people aren't exposed to progressives. Most people aren't exposed to all of these gradients that exist in these political paradigms, because it's not just solid red, solid blue. There are gradients of these things that emanate from the middle that people exist in, and we just throw them into these two political parties and say, be done with it. That's lazy.
So you don't support Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion scissoring on the stage in front of Maxine Waters, right?
That happened. That type of shit is ridiculous. That's what I'm saying. That type of shit is ridiculous.
But
that type of stuff is ridiculous.
But Double, let me ask you this. So you brought up, the Democrats when they were the racists, but you got to also tell the flip side.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. That is a given. We know who the flip side is. That's what I'm saying.
No, that's not true. Most people don't know what the flip side is of that. Most people don't understand why blacks went from one party to another party. Most people don't know that. We assume that they do, but 90% of us don't know. So you have to explain to the people why that switch happened so that they can fully understand. Because in the way you just worded it is like, we supporting the Ku Klux Klan, we become the Ku Klux Klan, and that's not what happened.
What?
You know what I mean?
That's what you took from what I said.
No, listen, I know why they switched, not me. I'm talking about the people that don't know, the people that don't understand politics. I'm not a scholar of politics, but I understand what you said. But the majority of us don't understand why it happened, when it happened, and what was the purpose of it. That's what I mean. When you make a statement, you got to clear all the bases.
Well, no, but see, I think the problem is that we put too much stock into one statement and then not allow the entire conversation for us to do that. Like, I'm nuanced, right? So when I'm making my argument, I'm making my arguments to a particular point in the conversation. I'm not making a position that's just generally like, let me say something about everything. Like, oh, we're talking about this thing. That means my point is identifying what I'm saying about this thing. Now, if it's things that need to be cleared up, I'm with that. But I think we put way too much stock in like, oh, you just said this. Oh, that means everything else. What's called a slippery slope fallacy. Because you say one thing that means da 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 da. So like, oh, Damo said this about Joe Biden, that means he must support all the other things that Joe Biden does and care about. No, that's a slippery slope fallacy.
No, I'm with you, but that's not what I was saying.
You sounded passionate last week, Domo.
I'm passionate about politics. And
like,
you gotta understand.
Some pom poms was going.
You gotta understand.
I thought the babies was going to run in there like, Dad, you forgot the Biden pom pom. That's me taking a little shot at.
Yeah, a little jab. But see, y'all gotta remember though, like I like debate is like I really do this. You know what I'm saying? So like when you put the topic up there, like if it's a topic I'm gonna stand on it. Like wholeheartedly, you feel me? So, but it's to me, in that case, it was just more about the debate than it was about because you see here, we ain't had a lot of disagreement about Joe Biden today at all, because I ain't fake when it comes to it. But yeah,
well, I mean, at the end of the day, nobody can make a decision that benefits everybody. Somebody can make a decision that benefits this group of people and destroy this other group of people, right? So neither one of them, me personally, I have no support in Donald Trump. No support, zero, because I understand his agenda. His agenda is clear. He ain't hiding it. We just choose to not recognize the points that he's talking about, that he's going to do, that he's going to attempt to do. I say attempt. So I'm never going to support a man throughout his life has showed us that he don't give a damn about nobody but himself. That won't happen with me. I do agree that Joe Biden.
I got a question. Wait a minute. I got a question. Let's say,
my fault. I gotta get ready to take off. I gotta take my son somewhere real quick. Okay. So appreciate the conversation.
Hey, Lord. Thank you, Domo, for coming through today. Appreciate you.
Definitely, man.
For sure. Any other time y'all want to have a conversation like this, get specific on anything, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's do it. Like, I'm here. So y'all just let me know. But yeah, I appreciate the dialogue. Yeah, I'll be listening in the back as I'm moving around.
Keep building with me. We gonna get you right, man. I'm subscribe to the Be the Power channel. Come on, and rock with us. We gonna get you right, man.
I'm gonna pull up.
That's right.
Yeah, y'all be easy.
Come build with us. All right, no doubt, bro. But yeah, man. So a question. Got a question. If all that you said about Trump is true, and I want to let me preface rather this question with the fact that we are policy focused. We don't care about your personality. LBJ was a racist, and yet we got affirmative action, right? So we got things done by people that were actually racist politicians. That's a fact. That's a fact. But let's say that Trump is everything that you say that he is. But he said, you know what? I believe that African Americans, quote unquote, meaning the American freedmen, are deserved reparations. And when I get into office in my first 100 days, I'm going to impanel a commission to study the topic. I'm going to give them 6 months to a year to come up with recommendations, and we are going to fix the Black community. Are you telling me that you wouldn't vote for Trump because he's a liar that only cares about himself and that he's a racist?
So my answer to that is no. Because, and I'm going to tell you why. Your past actions predict your future actions. If you lie tomorrow, if you lie yesterday, you will lie tomorrow. And in Trump's case, he'll say and do anything to catch our attention. It's up to us to recognize the things that he's done in his past against us and not forget and pay attention so they don't happen to us tomorrow.
Okay, so what you're saying is you're gonna go off of emotion, and this is one of the things that we're trying to, in our political advocacy, we're trying to break people out of, that we have to vote with emotion on our sleeve. If we got to think about the communities that we came in. You and I are having our conversations just sitting in your car. Where you grew up at, brother?
I'm in Detroit.
That's right. You said Detroit, man. I hustled in Detroit. I was rocking with this crew out there. We was trying to launch a record label called Nothing to Lose, right? So I know about the Cheddar Boys and the underground rappers out there. You know, rest in peace to my man Jack Tripp, etc., etc., etc. Detroit looked like the South Bronx in the 1980s when I was out there back in 2004, 2005. We got to think about the spot where we used to hang out at. It was one of my dudes' weed spot. It was some wild dudes that lived right across the streets. Cats used to just pull up and start airing their house out. Dudes come running out the crib, shooting back. I'm like, yo, I'm used to just be sitting there like, yo, this is wild, right? But why? Because of the benign neglect of really both parties. So if a grand wizard of the Ku Klux Klan says, I'm going to give these people reparations, we should seriously consider, yes, we should seriously consider that this is policy first, not our emotions, etc., etc. How long is Detroit going to look like that? Because pretty soon, brother, that Detroit that you know is going to be little Canada, little Mexico, little Ethiopia, little Somalia, because they're all moving there right now. And you see it. You see it. So I'm just saying.
They've been here.
At some point, right? And I know that sounds extreme, the grand wizard of decay. Yes, and I'm trying to give an extreme example because we have to think policy first. It's just as simple as that. We can't vote just based off of emotion. You can't vote because Trump likes to grab coochie, right? Or you know what I'm saying? Biden you think he's the best thing since sliced bread without looking at his back.
I never said that. So
no, I'm just speaking in general, right?
Right.
You know, because you hear that. Like, why would I vote for somebody that I think Domo said that last week that likes to grab coochie? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, look, we voted for Jim Crow Joe Biden at a record rate in that last election. And that dude really did pass legislation that hurt us, and everybody forgot about that. Everybody said forget that.
But let's be clear. Donald Trump has supported those same legislations. We both know this.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
So
I'm not.
So we dealing with the same monster. We just looking at a different, one smiling and one grinning, right? So when you ask that question, would I support the Ku Klux Klan if they was willing to give us reparations? No, I wouldn't. Because I look at, I study groups of people and how groups of people operate, right? And it's a certain group of people, we know, I don't want to say it on here, but we know who we're talking about. Start with a J. They work in one unit. Even if they got differences with one another, they know if, what's my man name that did all the work over there in Germany? You know what I'm talking about.
Adolf.
Hey, if Adolf said, hey, I'm going to drop $10 billion on y'all right now, they won't do it. Because they understand, now you are a problem that we can't allow to exist no more. But we, on the other hand, turn the other cheek and say, hey, you know what? That Grand Master is talking something that I want to hear. And we neglect the fact that the Grand Master is the one that want to rope you around the tree. So we can't let a couple dollars sway who we are versus standing on who we are, and we still gonna get the money.
All right, so let me, because you excellent point, right? About not being swayed, but the policy is policy. At the end of the day, we live in a democratic republic where we elect representatives to go in and do the things that we, the constituents, want them to do. If I'm going to use my emotions, well, then I'm going to say, I'm going to look in the background of Jim, whom I call Jim Crow Joe Biden, an old segregationist. We start with Pitchfork Ben Tillman. I believe he's out of South Carolina. Pitchfork Ben Tillman is one of the first people that talked about enshrining white supremacy as a legislative matter. Spoke on the House floor about how many Negroes he's killed. Pitchfork Ben. This dude was an avid racist. Y'all look up Pitchfork Ben.
What's his name again?
Pitchfork Ben Tillman.
Ben Tillman.
Ben Tillman. Look up Ben Tillman. His mentee was none other than Strom Thurmond, who we know was in the Senate till he was 99 years old, right? Strom Thurmond, another old segregationist and racist. Who was Strom Thurmond's mentee? Jim Crow Joe Biden, who as a Democrat wanted to prove to the Republicans that he was more anti-us than they were. He admitted it. He said, I got crime bills coming out the wazoo. I paraphrase. He's the father of the incarceral state that we experienced in the 1990s. Everybody wants to forget that. They want to bring up the Central Park Five with Donald Trump. But the fact remains that that ad that Trump put out wasn't policy. The Central Park Five, they're still living. They're still living.
It was impactful though. But it was impactful, right?
No, wait. The point is, it's not policy. Anything could be impactful, but what was impactful was hundreds of thousands of our men being removed from our communities. This is why you get the young drill rappers today, because their fathers did 10 and 20 years. Subscribe.
Yeah. I was just doing that because we out, Lord Abba. I gave you a clue. I threw up the piece right there on the screen.
I didn't see it, my bad.
Yeah, it was up there for a minute. Yeah, it was up there for a minute. You know,
I was listening.
My brother Daniel, go ahead and close out, and then I'm gonna let Lord Abba close this thing out.
So I'm gonna close out by saying, I appreciate you giving me the time, side, and Lord Abba, just to hear you and give my little input of my opinion. The bottom line is this: nothing's going to change for us until we unify on all levels, regardless of our differences, regardless of what we think it should be. It can only be one way, and the only way it can be is for us all to understand that we have to work as one unit to change our situations financially, demographically, educationally, and as a people.
Indeed. You know what? I echo that sentiment. I'm a part of a political movement, y'all. Go to our website, usadof.org. We have a petition there, and we're urging the president of the United States, whom I call Jim Crow Joe Biden, whom I can't stand, but we're still urging him to push policy for our people because we understand politics. And we want him to usadof.org. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, Be the Power, as well. We're going to be streaming. I don't know if we're going to stream Monday night. I might go on with Ankh tomorrow. We're going to discuss race and what else? I can't remember, but we talked earlier. So if I go on with Ankh tomorrow, then I might push our launch of our official live stream to maybe next Monday or Thursday of next week, excuse me. But I want to end with the motto that we use on our platform all the time, and that is, don't just fight the power, become the power. That's right. Become the power, and then and only then will you, meaning we, have the power to make a change. I need Mayor Frank Gary. I'm going to say that every time we have these political discussions because it's real. It's real. And that's it. I'm done. Peace.
Peace, y'all.
Subscribe. TV, Netta TV, Netta TV, Netta TV, Netta TV, Netta TV, Netta TV. You will open your third eye tonight. Subscribe to the House of Consciousness. You will open your third eye tonight. Subscribe to the House of Consciousness. Netta TV, Netta TV, Netta TV, Netta TV, subscribe, Netta TV, subscribe, Netta TV, subscribe, Netta TV, subscribe, Netta TV, subscribe. Peace to the fam, 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 peace to the fam. No more, gotta show what we stand for. Shot down in the streets by another police, they wanna start a race war. My people gotta stay strong, come together and we face storms. We can hold our dollar, we collapse their dollar. Incite our power, take back our land, hold back our dollars. Black power we stand. All of you depend on the next move. 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 Peace to the fam, 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 peace to the fam.